ghostly apparitions, UFOs and aliens, and mysterious creatures lurking in hidden depths around us. These are the mysteries which baffle, yet pique our curiosity. Will we ever prove their existence? Welcome to Paranormal Experienced Radio. Listen as your host and seasoned researcher Kat Hobson discovers new evidence, bringing us closer to the truth with informative guest interviews, the latest paranormal news, investigation advice, and equipment tips. Kat is a lead investigator with SCARE, located in Birmingham, Alabama, and feels that her gifts were given to aid individuals in distress in what should be their safe environments. Now, here is your host of Paranormal Experienced Radio, Kat Hobson, on WGOG Digital Broadcasting.
Good evening and welcome to Paranormal Experience. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and we have a fantastic program in store for you tonight. First of all, I want to let everyone know that I hope that you have had just a wonderful Christmas holiday, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I just hope it was fantastic, full of love and laughter and the people that you care about. And I am so excited to welcome tonight two people that I call friends. I have Jamie Menshouse and Felix Martin joining us. Jamie's been in paranormal investigations and research for over 12 years, and she has investigated with just about everyone who is working professionally in that field. She operated ghost tours at the world-famous Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona, and she does the research for Route 66 Paranormal Investigations, who she works with. And most of my listeners know about Ghost Hunt Weekends. I know that Chad Morin, who is the owner with his wife Stacy, comes on often to share with us the different things that they're seeing and researching. But Felix Martin is the man with Ghost Hunt Weekends. He is the guy who finds new locations and researches them. He is the guy who develops different investigative techniques with Chad. And both of them are some of the most innovative men I've seen in this field. They're very open to change and new ideas. So this is going to be great because between the two of them, I think they've investigated probably almost all of my bucket list, probably yours too. So Jamie and Felix, welcome to Paranormal Experience. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
I'm doing great. Thank you, Kat.
Well,
hello, Jamie.
Hi, Felix.
And just so you know, they know each other. They have been friends for eons, and they are both very involved in the paranormal field, so that's another bond on top of their friendship. So
yeah, we're partners in crime when it comes to the paranormal, and we're almost coming as a pair.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So, did y'all start out with interest in this field at the same time? Because you're from the same area, right?
No.
No? I thought you were both from the Nashville area.
I'm originally from Miami, Florida.
That's right. I did know that. Well, tell us how you did get connected.
Actually, go ahead, Jamie.
Well, I took my son on an investigation with Ghost Hunt Weekends in Gallatin with the guys from Tennessee Wave Chasers. And we just hit it off, and ever since then, we stayed in touch. We get together, and the rest is history.
Well,
and I mean, we're even starting our own little haunted object collection. Eventually, we want to have some kind of little museum. I got my haunted dolls. She has some, which she has my Billy. He's on vacation with Jamie.
Oh, Billy.
Well, I know about the dolls, but everyone else doesn't. Do you want to tell some about the experiences that y'all have had with them?
Go ahead. You can start with Billy and Jack.
Well, to start off, I hate clowns. Absolutely hate clowns. And we were bidding on different artifacts from Jason Love, and this Jack-in-the-Box just pops up. And there was just something about this clown, and I had to have him. And so I won the bid, and this poltergeist, not much has happened with him, but we think we heard him at Scarefest.
Yeah.
We don't know if it was the Jack-in-the-Box or Billy, which I wanted Billy. Felix bidded on him, so I backed out. But he's at my house now, so. But Jack, I was told, had a little boy attached to him, which makes sense why I was drawn to this clown. And Billy, I just love Billy to death. And that's why I have him, because I find comfort in a haunted doll.
Do you feel like it's nurturing to you, or like you're nurturing to it? Is it a child spirit in both of them?
I don't know about Billy. What we were told, it was just the original owner, had him since he was a little boy, died. After he died, the family started having experiences. So we don't know exactly what's with Billy. But it's probably a little bit of both. I don't sleep well, constantly waking up, not being able to fall asleep. During Scarefest, Felix brought him with us. And as long as that doll was within arm's length from me, I was able to sleep all night long. I wasn't tossing and turning. I would wake up and he would be further away from me. And so I'd bring him a little closer and I was able to go back to sleep. So I think maybe it's a little bit of both.
That's interesting, because very few people would probably understand how that was possible.
Yeah, I'm in my 30s and telling people that, I have to sleep with a doll, let alone a haunted doll. It can come off a little crazy, but most people that I talk to are in this field, so they don't think I'm that crazy.
Well,
yeah, I have 6 haunted dolls, and my daughter, I have to lock them up in a room, because my daughter wouldn't come in the house. Well, but I originally started with I have another one that we call Billy also, and it was a friend of mine. She knew I was in the paranormal field, and she comes to me and says, all of a sudden I'm having all this activity. My pant leg is being pulled, my sheets are being pulled, our lights are blowing in the closet. So immediately the first thing I always think of is, what did you buy at an antique store?
Right. What did you bring in the house?
Yeah, exactly. And because it happened all of a sudden, it just started. And so she said, well, I bought this doll at an antique shop for a Halloween prop. So I said, okay, bring me the doll. And it's a really interesting doll. It's really old. It has like hay stuffing. And I had it checked by a couple mediums, and they both felt that it was a little boy. And I thought it was going to be a little girl, and actually it's a little boy that's attached to it. It's a German immigrant that they immigrated to the United States. They went out west, and this came from 2 separate mediums, said the same thing. So that's why it validated, and I have more validation with it, but they moved out west, and they were farmers, and they all died in a fire, but the doll survived. Yeah, and so with that, for one thing, my friend's activity stopped because I had the doll. She goes, keep it. I don't want it. So she had thrown it in the closet in a corner, and I think he didn't like that. I keep him in my living room in a chair, and he's happy there. I get noises in my house, but, I'm a paranormal investigator. how many bumps and dings do you hear at night? It doesn't bother me. But I used to take it to the Thomas house. I don't anymore because it's old and, you know, and I'm trying to protect it. But we had it at the Thomas house, and one of the crew members had a group up in the green hallway, if you know the Thomas house. And I was at the church across the street with Chad, and she calls Chad, says, Chad, I'm getting all these weird words coming on the ghost box that don't make sense here in the Thomas house. And it was cow, farm, fire, you know, it was a whole bunch of stuff. And Chad laughed because Chad was the only one that knew the story of the doll. He goes, Felix, go over there and tell him the story of the doll. And when I told him the story, everybody was like, wow. So she was getting more of Billy than whatever else is haunting the Thomas house.
I wonder if he was just intimidating to them. That's interesting. I have another question about him, too.
But yeah, I mean, but I keep him happy, and I don't get any blown lights. I did get my hair pet one time as I was laying on the couch watching TV, but, you know, it could be any of them. So I can't just, you know, pinpoint, oh, it was Billy, but, you know, I don't feel like any of the ones I have are upset or anything. They like where they're at, and they're pretty much quiet to a certain point. Yeah, I hear things, but I ignore it because I don't hunt my own house. So
right,
they're happy there, and whatever they do, I ignore whatever they do. Not that I'm afraid. I just don't acknowledge anything in my house.
Well, but you know, it's kind of interesting because don't you find it odd that there was a fire that the humans died in, but a hay-filled doll survived?
Yeah, I don't get.
I mean, that seems to be fairly unexpected.
But as far as I've since I've been involved with a lot of haunted artifacts, I've come across quite a few artifacts that the only thing that survived in a fire and intact. I was talking to Jason Love. He has another artifact that a whole church burned down, and this one saint figure, nothing happened to it. You know, and the whole building burned down to the ground. So, you know, there's something to some of that stuff. I don't know if the child protected the doll from burning, you know. Right. And he's still attached to it. I couldn't explain it. You know, I wish I could sit there and have a nice long conversation with Billy. But no, he's pretty happy where he's at.
Well,
and I like him. He's cute. Well, people find him creepy. I find him cute.
He has a creepy cuteness to him.
Well,
yeah. And I'm a grown man with,
do what we do,
with dolls.
Well, that's okay. You know, my friend Kevin Kane here in Birmingham, who investigates with Scare as well, is also a haunted collector who started with dolls and has written several books about them. Have you met him yet?
I think I ran into him once. And I know about his book, yeah.
He's pretty fascinating. But I've been to his home, and he has, I can't even tell you how many dolls he has. They're just amazing. But he also has paintings, and he has some altered dolls, and I don't understand why you would do that to a spirited doll. But it's different.
Altered dolls?
Those altered dolls where they've done the creep factor times 10.
Oh, no, I don't.
I think that's just not my color Kool-Aid, right? I think that's just wrong.
No, I don't think Billy would be happy if I did that to his doll.
I don't think anybody would. You know, he has a painting that has a woman in it that just, she doesn't like him. And I was like, well, then why do you have her? He said, someone sent me to her and she doesn't mess with me. She just doesn't like me. I said, well, okay. And when you walk in the room, she really doesn't.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's interesting.
Yeah, I approach, and I know Jamie does too, because Jamie and I have a very similar style in and investigating. That's why we hit it off so well. But we approach our artifacts with lots of respect. We don't disrespect our artifacts. We respect that there is a human attached to it for one reason or another. You know, I have a lot more other stuff like African death masks and stuff like that too, which also have attachments to it, but some of them are not that good. But but like I said, I have them in my house and they're okay.
I think they know where they're sheltered, right? Where they're safe.
I believe so.
I think that sometimes their path to getting to someone like y'all has probably been pretty tough because of the connotations associated with, you know, haunted objects. So, yeah, it's kind of like the Jumanji box getting tossed out. You know, you just don't hang on. The average person just doesn't hang on to something that gives them grief in their home.
Right.
So, kudos to y'all for being spiritually aware enough to do that. And Brooke says, absolutely, always respect, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah. And Felix picked on me about Billy because we brought him to Scarefest, and I can't remember where we got out of. And I put Billy on the seat, and we went out, did whatever we had to do, and then come back, and Billy was face down on the seat. And he was like, how dare you do that to him? I was like, I did not do that. So he was like, really? You're going to leave without me?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's funny. It's funny because, you know, I've never been into dolls, but because of supposedly the attachments to them, I really approach them with more respect. I put them in their seat. I don't, you know, they sit down like a little child in a car seat, you know, and but they're happy. You really feel positive around them because of the way they're being treated. I really think if you mistreat them, that's when you get all the negative, like my friend, you know, and she had all that, a lot of activity going on, and I think it's just because she just threw it in a closet because she treated it like this, a doll, you know,
yes.
and he didn't like it. Right.
Well, I could see that. I wouldn't want to be just tossed away to the side, no matter what plane of existence I was on. So,
well, you got to think, this child is attached to its doll because it probably to him it was his prized possession. It was the thing that, you know, they were a poor family that they immigrated, and he probably brought it with him, and it's all he had. So he's not going to be happy when somebody doesn't take care of his prized possession, and he's going to let you know about it. You know, me, I keep them nice and happy, and they watch TV with me, and I have no problems.
That is so interesting. And the reason I find that interesting, A, that's not a side of you that you share very much.
No, I don't.
Okay? And B, I know another man who has all these dolls, and trust me, if you're getting into that, you're going to catch up with him because it becomes a thing, okay, because it's becoming apparent all over again, and it's an interesting thing to watch because he is these dolls and these child spirits' father. They call him daddy in EVPs. So it's really weird how the objects kind of choose who they want to be with. And
that's true.
Yeah, because trust me, if they weren't happy, you wouldn't want to keep them.
Let me know. Yeah.
Yes.
But see, Jamie and I both have the same feeling towards them, and that's why, I mean, we share our objects with each other, you know. I mean, we really do approach it as a team, and we share. That's why she has Billy. I say Billy is on vacation because he's actually was at my house, and she took him with him, and I haven't seen him since September.
It was October.
Oh, October?
It was October, in all fairness. But
so I
weird.
Just keep telling myself he's on vacation.
He is on vacay. So, not a bad thing. You'd go too. But, you know, we are coming up.
I love Jamie to death, so.
Well, we are up on our first break, and we will be back on the flip side of this, and we have a question in chat that we will get to just as soon as we come back. See y'all in 3 minutes.
When it absolutely, positively has to be the best. WGOG DB Clearwater. Let's talk.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has delivered a one-of-a-kind reading experience, covering everything from psychics, UFOs, paranormal investigations, and more. To subscribe, visit fatemag.com or call 828-702-3032. That's 828-702-3032. Subscribe and find your true reports of the strange and unknown at fatemag.com.
Grow your business. At Signorama, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom sign and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Signorama, the way to grow your business. Meet with an expert at your local Signorama or visit us online anytime.
Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today. Haunted Voices series by author Claire Jim. Not your average romance novels, the Haunted Voices series intertwines romance with ghost stories. Like an addiction counselor and a security guard struggle to free a little girl and her father. 2 lost spirits trapped inside an abandoned mental hospital and spirits of the heart. Want more? Then read about a hunky professor in a tweed jacket, a cheeky goth chick, and a pipe-smoking, book-hurling ghost. Put them all together in an antiquated library and, well, you get the book Phantom Traces. Or read about a psychic interior designer who reluctantly agrees to renovate a sexy investor's abandoned hotel in Hearts Unlocked, winner of the 2016 New York Book Festival. The Haunted Voices series by Claire Jim. Buy wherever books are sold or purchase at clairegim.com. Real people and not pre-recorded and regurgitated radio. WGOG DB Clearwater. Let's talk.
23 minutes after the hour, and you are back with Paranormal Experience. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and I'm joined by Felix Martin and Jamie Menshouse. And we were discussing their dolls, but we have a question for you relevant to that. And it's from Christy, and she wants to know, do you pick up more paranormal activity with the more haunted artifacts you have around? Does one doll become jealous of another doll?
That's a good question. You have 2 of them, Jamie. Do you feel that?
Yes and no. Jack likes to be with where we're at. I've noticed that if I leave him in the room for so long without bringing him downstairs with us, we'll hear stuff upstairs, door slamming and stuff like that. I try not to separate Jack and Billy. only because we got them from the same place, so they're used to each other. But I guess it just depends on the artifact itself. Some don't like to be messed with, while others love the attention. So that's kind of a tricky question. It's depending on the object.
And in my situation, my 6 dolls, I have them all sitting together in the same living room chair. The other dark artifacts that I have, I actually keep in a different room, separated, because the other dark artifacts are not children, so I keep them separated from the dolls that have children attachments. But the dolls themselves, I don't feel like there's any jealousy, not even with Billy, which was my original one. I think they are pretty fine. I mean, nothing negative have I felt from them at all. So, but like I said, I do still even keep that respect where the dolls with the children are once a part of the house. The other dark artifacts from Africa and death masks and voodoo stuff, I keep in a separate room. Oh, my daughter better not be hearing this.
Do you think Billy and the other dolls are a little jealous that I brought the other Billy to my house and not them?
That one, we'll find out when Billy comes home. That one is a good question. I'm serious. That's a good question. Billy's been on vacation for a long time.
I think he's going to be mad.
How the reception's going to be?
He's going to be mad at making him come home, yeah.
Because he's getting so much attention just being with you instead of being part of a larger group. You know, something else that they're asking in chat, and this is from Tana Marie, said, how do you feel about investigating with children? And I'm going to assume she's discussing living children.
Well, that is a touchy topic for some people.
It is.
I have 3 children, and I teach them the do's and don'ts of investigating.
How old are those children?
16, 14, and 12. My 14-year-old is the one that I met with Felix at was it the Palace Theater in Gallatin?
It was, yes, the Palace Theater in Gallatin.
And, you know, Chip has met him, Amy, Adam, a bunch of them's met him, and they're all impressed with how he handles himself and the questions he asks.
Let me interject here because she's not even doing it justice. Let me tell you, when I met Jamie and Braden, okay, they came to the Palace Theater. They ended up in my group. That kid, he was what, 12?
I think so.
He was about 12 years old. He handled himself better than most of my adults in my groups, to a point that every single wraith chaser also allowed him to run the show because he handled himself such a professional ghost hunter that we were all impressed. And it's like, I looked at him and it's like, go at it. It's your show. And we got responses. We got EVPs. But if you watched him, you wouldn't think he was 12 years old the way he was asking the questions. Now, not all children act that way. I don't think a group of children would be a good thing because, you know, they scare each other and they will imitate the other one and scream and holler. And I've had 20-year-olds that, you know, were worse than that. I won't even go with that. But I've had lots of children. I had a young girl. She was, I think, 11 years old. And when she went to the church, she wasn't in my group. She was in another group. But she went to the church, and all of a sudden, she was feeling choked during the session in the church. She came out. Of course, it shook her up, and she was, you know, I found her on the bridge, which I got upset because the dad let her go across the bridge by herself, 11 years old.
Right.
But I said, what are you doing here? What's wrong? And she told me that she was feeling choked. And she told me with some tears in her eyes, but But I told her, I said, there's a gentleman there that died because he got hung, by the neck. You were probably feeling what he felt right before he died. You were probably not being harmed, but you were feeling the effects. You're more sensitive to that, because there's a lot of times you'll feel stomach aches. Jamie feels the appendicitis of Sarah up in the Thomas house, and I feel like this girl. But when I told her that, and she's 11 years old, and she already felt physical, choking, she continued to hunt. She never stopped. I was really impressed. So it all depends on the maturity of the child when it comes to ghost hunting.
Yeah, when I was doing the tours at the bird cage, we had separate tours. We had it for the kids and then adults.
I think that's a good thing.
It's a brothel, so I can't really go into the details about the life that was going on back then to a 12-year-old. But the energy between the two groups was crazy. I had more activity on the family tour than I did the adults tour. Probably my scariest tour there was on the family tour when we heard a gun go off in the building, smelt the gunpowder and everything, but no one on the outside of the building heard it. I was ready to end the tour, and the kids were like, "No, that's awesome." I'm like, "Well, I'm glad y'all think that's awesome. I don't."
What would you think would be the youngest that you would welcome on a tour or on a hunt?
How old?
It's all about how mature they are. I mean, I've seen... Well, my 5-year-old niece, I would take her because of how she handles herself. She's 5 going on 30, but then I know some 20-year-olds that I wouldn't take. No, I would never take my 5-year-old niece, but I think in a setting like the birdcage, 12 is a good age.
Right.
And 12 I think is a good round number. I mean, sometimes 11-year-olds, are like, 20-year-olds. But I do have to admit, when I have young kids with me, 12, 13, 14, even 16-year-olds, I get a little more activity. I feel like it's their energy, their light is brighter, and it brings out more, gives them more energy to manifest and for the paranormal. I think that's what it is. They're attracted to the children's light. I know it increases some of the activity at sometimes, but I'm also very careful when at the hospital, at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. There's one section of the hospital, and this, Kat, there's a child molester.
Yes.
And I had a group, and it was the dad, the mom, and 2 kids. One of them was a little girl. And I talked to the parents, and I said, listen, here, because the girl was really good all over the hospital. She was asking questions, just like Braden was. She was really brave, but when we got there, I didn't want to tell her what was going on down there, but I did tell the parents, and I said, I don't want her asking any questions, and I want her sitting next to me. And that's because I won't allow my guests to get harmed, but at the same time, I'm definitely not going to allow a child to get hurt.
Right.
So I had her next to me, and no matter what this guy is, he knows when I say enough, he has told me in, explicit words what he thinks about it, but he goes away.
That's interesting.
I won't let any harm. But I didn't allow and the girl was going to ask. I said, no, here I don't want you to ask any questions, and we'll continue elsewhere. But here I want you to just sit here and be quiet. I had the mom next to her on the other side, so I'm very protective of the children. I don't, because he hasn't hurt anybody, but I just don't even like the idea of him even coming near her.
That brings up another question that I know that I get asked a lot. I took some people to to Sloss this past weekend so that they could experience. They live in a haunted house. They're adult children and the dad. And they had asked if I could just show them how to use equipment and do things. And we actually had someone get, it wasn't like the 3 scratches. It wasn't anything demonic. You know what Sloss is like. It's just guys that worked there.
Yeah.
And, there's not anything more negative than anywhere else. But he wound up with like a handprint on his side. It was the young man on my Facebook Live video that had been having his shirt tugged and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And, I get asked a lot, well, how do you protect people? How do you protect yourself against something that you cannot see and against something that has abilities stronger than yours? How do you feel confident that you can protect those children?
I feel very confident. I think as long as I'm not dealing with a demon.
Right.
As long as I'm dealing with just a ghost, I have always had where if I say enough or go away, they go away, including the jerk downstairs. Because I had him where I took a couple with me and the rest of the groups were around the hospital, and I had this couple. It was him and his wife, and he was a bit of an antagonizer.
Right.
And that's why I took him along so he wouldn't get the other guests upset. So we had our own little private hunt going. Well, he went down there and he started antagonizing, and his wife started being feeling the negativity around her, and he continued until he started feeling it around him. And that's when I said, all right, Jimmy, you're not allowed, you have no permission to touch or harm my guest, so back off. And like I said, he said 2 words to me, which I can't repeat on the airwaves.
And we appreciate that.
And and he went away. But he did tell me what he thought about it, but he did go away. And lately, he's kept his distance from me when I bring guests there. So I believe the regular ghosts, I mean, they do, as long as they're not demons, they do say, like, I've done private investigations where I've had to tell the homeowner, you got to take a stand.
Right.
Tell them this is your home and you need to leave. It's not their home anymore. This is your home and you don't want them here. Don't ever invite, but tell them, put your foot down and says, it's time for you to go. This is my house. And it's worked in most part. At least in my investigations, it's worked.
I've experienced that too.
I'm not going to say because I have never experienced a real dark negative entity or demonic. If it's demonic, I got 2 friends that are demonologists. I will be on the phone with them and say, dude, you need to come down here because I don't deal with demons.
Absolutely. I have mine
qualified or trained for that.
I think we all had that guy on speed dial, right?
Yes, we do.
More than one.
More than one, I'm telling you. Because I will not deal with that. But
I mean, on a calm standpoint, I mean, it always runs in the back of my head that, if my kids are with me or someone else's kids, that it could happen. But, I always tell them to set their boundaries, before you go in, be prepared. It might happen. Luckily, I'm blessed to know enough people that if something was to happen, we have help. Right. But I've never, on an investigation standpoint, I've never seen any kid get attacked.
Right.
But when you're on that other end, and you're being haunted and your kids are being affected, it's heartbreaking, which I've been there, and there was nothing I could do. And this was when my kids were little. And that's kind of what helped me get more into it so I could be able to protect my kids. Right. And now, with them knowing pretty much what to do, I feel safe enough to let my kids investigate.
I think that most people who don't have a problem with children being on investigations have or do live in a haunted home, so they feel the children have already been exposed. Or that's been my experience when I talk to people that bring their children places I am. What do you think about that? I mean, does that seem to be the norm, or is it just because they've watched, Zach, who they think is so hot, or Jason and Grant and, Steve and Tango for so long, or they're interested because of that? What do you think is their main draw?
Go ahead, Jamie.
With my kids, I know it's from personal experiences, and then of course seeing me do this. My 14-year-old, he got a DVR set for his birthday. My youngest just got K2 meters, voice recorders, a night vision camera for Christmas. It's a passion that's kind of handed down to him for me. And Braden's dad is into it too.
Right.
It's more of the not knowing that intrigues them. They want to find out more answers. And we find comfort in it. Because Felix knows, I just lost my niece, and
yes.
The comfort in knowing that, there is life after death helps us.
I agree.
And I know that's how my kids feel it too. This isn't it, this is just, death is an ending to this life and a new beginning to the next life.
Well,
now, with that said about your, and I do agree with that. But like you said, your niece passed away, and yes, I've seen people that did not believe in God come into an investigation, get EVPs, and now they believe in some kind of force, or at least they believe in some kind of entity beyond this life. And they believe in the afterlife because of that. But same time is, I lost my child. You know that, Kat, and you know that, Jamie.
Yeah.
And somebody once told me, well, you're just doing that to find Carolyn. No, I'm not. I don't want to find Carolyn. Carolyn moved on. She's crossed over, and I don't want to find her. I will find her when I pass on and move on.
Right.
I'm just intrigued because I grew up in a haunted house. And like I said one time, I've been doing EVPs before EVPs were popular. I was 16 years old when I was doing EVPs in a graveyard, and I would go out there at midnight and do EVPs in graveyards. My friends that I run into now still remember when I used to do that, and they still can't believe I used to do that. But that I was intrigued because I grew up in a house that was haunted since I was 2 years old. So I was always interested in the paranormal, even though back then paranormal was not anything like it is now, thanks to Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. And now it's real popular, and it's okay to talk about, a ghost that you saw this and all that. I mean, you should see how many times I have my Ghost Hunt Weekend sign on my car, and no matter where I go, somebody will come with a ghost story.
I know, right? It's like they come out of the woodwork when they know what you do.
Exactly. Where 10 years ago, God forbid, you talked about having a ghost because you'd be locked up in a insane asylum.
Yes.
Well, we were at the Renaissance there, 2 years ago? And
2 or 3 years ago.
This mom and her daughter come up and was like, hey, can we get your picture with me and Felix? And we're like, what?
Yeah. Because they remembered us from being the ghost hunters and stuff. But, I mean, I think some kids are into it because they've, 10 years of watching it on TV, it has intrigued their curiosity of the ghosts, and others because they do have an entity in the house. So it depends. I mean, it can go either way.
Kind of a personal
I've encountered
thing.
both.
Yeah,
Well,
my daughter is amazing in her investigation. Her and Felix saw the same thing at the Thomas house, and I'm looking and didn't see nothing.
Well, you're going to have to tell us about that when we get back from this break, and we have another question waiting for us. We are going to be on for about 2 minutes, and we will catch you on the flip side.
For station identification. It's the little cinder block building on the north side of town with the towel behind it. WGOG DB Clearwater. Let's talk.
Marcella Zinner. Named one of the best intuitive psychics of Tampa Bay, Marcella is ready to change your life. Being a clairvoyant since childhood, Marcella enhanced her natural gifts with a master's degree from the College of Metaphysical Studies and ongoing advanced studies at the Edgar Cayce Foundation. Marcella's passion is to share her gifts with you, with intuitive counseling, past life regressions, Reiki, and empowering workshop events. What are you waiting for? Call 727-785-8780. That's 727-785-8780 to schedule your life-changing appointment with Marcella. Marcella Zinner, intuitive counselor and clairvoyant. Find your answers at marcellaz.com. Nothing feels better than a good cleanse to wash away the day. If you think that refreshes you, then experience the ultimate cleanse with Soaps by Susan. Cleansing Spiritually LLC uses only pharmaceutical-grade essential oils, all-natural shea butter, coconut oils, and vitamin E, and tailored toward the ultimate cleanse. Susan uses a skin-safe fragrance with an aroma that brings a smile to your face and takes you to that happy place within. Each bar is handcrafted and custom to order, so it not only cleanses the soul, but also matches your room's decor. Cleansing Spiritually soap makes great gifts, or you can just indulge yourself for a spiritual cleansing you'll never forget. You want some now, don't you? We thought so. Contact Susan Todd to place your custom order at facebook.com/spiritually. Don't settle for clean. Get spiritually clean at facebook.com/spiritually. Of course, we didn't invent great sound. We perfected it. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Forty-seven minutes after the hour, and you are back with Paranormal Experienced. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and we are joined tonight by Felix Martin and Jamie Menshouse, who are fantastic paranormal investigators and my friends, and they've got more experience in their back pocket than most people get in a lifetime, so that's a pretty good thing, right? And
Yeah.
we have...
That's great.
I think so. But we have some questions, and the first one is, when you do the ghost tours, Megan wants to know, do you tell your guests about the history about the place before you do the ghost tours?
I did at the birdcage.
And at Ghost Hunt Weekends, we also talk about the history of not only the building, but the history of the land. We go before the building was built, everything from the, American Indians to the Civil War to when the building was built, all kinds of history and owners. And yeah, we do love, one thing that's great about investigating these old places is the history, and I know Jamie feels the same way. The history of these locations is just intriguing. And yes, we do talk about the history. Kat, you were at Old South Pittsburgh when I did because we have now a presentation and we go through all the history of the place from, even the mines to the Indians that were, allowed the Civil War soldiers to come there, and then they got slaughtered. And I mean, it just goes through all the history before the hospital was built, and then they go through the history of when the hospital was there. So, because, and I tell everybody, the history is real important, because some of the hauntings might not have been brought by the building, but
Right.
it could have been prior to the building being built. What happened on the land? There's somebody buried on there? There's some Civil War, small little Civil War, or Indians and Indian burial grounds. That a lot of places they don't respect that. And in the old times they respected it a lot less.
Yes.
So you don't know everything that happened on the land before the building. So we like to investigate all the history. And Jamie's actually helped me a lot with some of the history of the locations that we have.
Yeah, the first time I ever went to Old South Pittsburgh, basically you were just turned loose, walked in and turned loose. And that was with the previous managers, and that did not work out well for them. But it's just really amazing to me that you can walk into some place cold and feel comfortable, because if there are rogue hauntings, then I think it's kind of important to know that, because it's like Grant says, they're just humans. These people were humans, and you need to treat them with the respect of that. Sometimes they're nice humans, sometimes they're not. And I think personally that your personality transitions with you. I've had people tell me that's not the case, that everybody is all love and light when they get on the other side.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Who are not. But
I mean, a perfect example. Again, I'm citing Old South Pittsburgh. And there's a guy there that I call the jokester. Because he plays practical jokes on me.
Yes.
And I had, in November, I was investigating there. I had a group of all newbies with me that never investigated.
Oh, dear.
And I had this loud growl behind my neck. I had nobody standing behind me. Everybody was in front of me. The growl was so loud or close to me that I felt the reverberation of the growl.
Oh, my goodness.
And the growl sounded like a lion's growl. But at the same time, you know how people think that is demonic and negative, and none of us felt that. I did not feel any negativity towards it. I thought it was cool. And the new people thought it was cool. Nothing felt, evil or anything. I really think it was my friend, the jokester, that decided to pull that on me. Because he does all kinds of different things on me. I mean, he has gotten right up to my ear and said, "Hey, you," when I'm all alone, and it's like, dude, that's not funny.
Yeah, kind of.
So they do have personalities. I said a joke in the nursery one time, and I heard a little girl giggle. Well, if they didn't have their personalities, they wouldn't laugh. They wouldn't joke. They wouldn't. The 7-foot shadow man that they talk about, and everybody's afraid of the shadow man. As a matter of fact, I was in the shadow hall with a group, and he decided to stand right dead center of our group. And he was patting people in the head, and we finally realized, because we saw him to our right, and we saw the creepy crawler to the left, which I'm glad he stayed his distance. I don't like the creepy crawler just because. But we have a creepy crawler that he walks on all fours, and his head turns 360 degrees, and he has red eyes sometimes. So I like for him to keep his distance. I don't like him to get close. But the 7-foot shadow man, I saw him to the right, and all of a sudden, we were all being touched and pat on the head, a friendly pat or something like that. All of a sudden, we realized I can't see the person in front of me. And nobody could see. And it was because he was standing dead center of us. as he was patting us on the head, on the neck, or whatever. So I felt like he was playful. He didn't feel mean or evil. He, to me and to the group, you can ask Shane and Lisa. They come to almost every month to South Pittsburgh to hunt with me. They love it. I mean, he's a truck driver, but and he comes and he doesn't miss one of our hunts. But he even said it. He felt like he was playful. He did not feel. Nobody was afraid, and he was standing dead center where we couldn't see each other, across from each other.
Do you think it's because they were new people? Do you think they recognize that?
I think it's the respect that you give them too.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you treat them like, mean and ugly, like some people like to do, you're going to get that in return. Remember, these are humans.
Right.
So, Kat, if somebody treats you and yells at you and screams at you and calls you names, how are you going to react to that person?
I'm going to put them out because it's just like you've kicked the door in.
Exactly. But if somebody comes to you nicely and treats you with respect and all that, you're going to want to interact with them. You're going to want to, hey, you're my buddy. I sing to a little girl on the third floor. And now we've been getting EVPs of a little girl humming up there. It's all how you treat them. And, I mean, I'm not going to say everyone's nice because, like I tell my groups, if you were a jerk in life, you're a jerk as a ghost.
Absolutely.
Because, you go to these prisons, you're not going to find some nice ghosts there because, they weren't in prison because they were sweet and nice.
Truth.
And they're still the same way. They're mean. They throw things. It's different. In a hospital now, you can have a mix of everything.
Yes.
So, but I still say if you treat it with respect, you're going to get the respect in return.
Well, that's my goal. But, no, in all honesty, it's become kind of a joke with my team because no matter where we are, even if I'm being nice, I don't know if it's just because I have a very assertive tone when I speak or what, but I get called names, and it's generally the same name all the time. And it's just it's gotten to where it's almost like a joke. I was out for almost a month and a half because I had pneumonia. My first investigation back, I was just doing my thing. It was an outdoor investigation on some property, and I'm asking questions. Everything's been going great. And when I asked a question, I got it again. And I guess because I was tired, it was my first time back out, and I just came undone. I was like, I do not know what your issue is with me. I just got here. But it's funny because it doesn't matter. I just think that I'm so strong-voiced for a female most of the time, but it comes from working with men all my life that, you have to be professional and clear.
It could be a possibility. Possibility that they were jerks, and they're still jerks.
Right.
Or you got to also consider the time. When was this person on this earth as a live person?
Right.
Was he in the old times that women don't speak?
This guy was.
So you speaking could be, hey, you're out of line. You only speak when you're spoken to. You know what I mean? I mean, these are considerations in any investigation. You always got to consider who are you communicating with.
Yes.
And if you're communicating with a slave and anything.
Yep. And there is our music, which means we are back to the top of the hour. I can't believe this hour has gone so fast, and we have a question we didn't even get to. So this is going to be our news break. So I hope there's some good news for everyone, and we'll be gone for about 5, and we will see you when we get back.
Ramping up security for New Year's Eve, I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
So in previous years, we had spotters.
Sheriff Joe Lombardo with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, but the massacre in October change things.
But this year, along with those spotters, they will be accompanied by snipers, individuals in possession of rifles to ensure safety if a threat is recognized.
The city's also barring items including bottles, backpacks, strollers, and coolers from public areas. In New York City, even with the bitter cold temperatures, more than 1 million people may turn out to watch the ball drop in Times Square. Police say that you should be ready for more scrutiny of truck rentals, parking garages, and
there will be extra scrutiny on office towers and hotels overlooking Times Square. All of this on top of checking every single person who comes to Times Square, and all the trash cans and manhole covers will be either taken away or sealed in a 25-block radius.
Fox's Brian Yennis. The bitter cold and sub-zero wind chills stretching from New York to Maine and from Indiana to the northern plains will be here for a while.
The problem is going to be this cold air sticks around for a very long time. In fact, probably until around January 3rd or 4th before this cold air mass goes away from here. And that's at least what we're looking at right now. Long-term models, obviously, a lot can vary with that.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reithmuth. And conditions are even more serious in Erie, Pennsylvania, where more than 5 feet of snow fell since Christmas Day. Police in Hamilton County, Indiana, now say the deaths of 3 people on Christmas Day are murders and a suicide.
I know a lot of people want to know what happened, and we're certainly here to try to help shed some light on it as best we can, but I'm afraid we may never know what truly set this gentleman off and caused him to do such a horrific thing.
Sheriff Mark Bowen says Todd Moon killed his parents and then himself. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites with just one click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job better than anyone else. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate through the site within 1 day. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, our listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right. Free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/newscast. That's ZipRecruiter.com/newscast. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/newscast.
President Trump's tweets about the FBI probe of Hillary Clinton's emails may be hurting his stated rationale for firing FBI Director James Comey. When he fired him in May, the president said he was acting on Justice Department recommendations. But since then, the president has suggested the criminal investigation was rigged in Clinton's favor. A jury in New York convicts an attorney for helping ex-pharmaceutical executive Martin Shkreli defraud a drug company.
Evan Griebel was found guilty of securities and wire fraud by a federal jury in Brooklyn. Prosecutors say Griebel helped Martin Shkreli take money from Retrofin Incorporated, once one of Shkreli's holdings, to try and return lost money to investors. Shkreli is infamous for jacking up the price of an HIV drug produced by another of his companies, but Griebel's conviction is not tied to that. Shkreli is currently in jail for an unrelated matter. An attorney for Griebel said he was shocked by the jury's decision. Griebel could face a sentence of 20 years in prison. In New York, Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Speculations flying that the New England Patriots signed a player just to get some inside information.
Asked about having ulterior motives in signing former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker James Harrison, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick was not ready to give that question the time of day.
We're playing the Jets this week. I don't really know what that has to do with it. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
This amid accusations against the Patriots for signing Harrison to gain intelligence on Pittsburgh ahead of the AFC playoffs. Harrison spent 13 years with the Steelers over 2 separate stints in Pittsburgh, reportedly forcing his exit over a lack of playing time, much to the upset of his teammates who feel the veteran linebacker was just being bitter after being benched for rookie T.J. Watt.
Fox's Matt Napolitano. And U.S. stocks post slight gains today as the major indexes reverse a 2-day slide. The Dow Industrials rose 28 points. The NASDAQ gained 3. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News Radio.
Others say it. We prove it.
WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Hey.
Five minutes after the hour, and you are back with Paranormal Experience Radio. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and this is one of my favorite shows we've ever done. I am hosting my friends Felix Martin and Jamie Menshouse, both of whom are experienced and great paranormal researchers and investigators. We have two questions up in chat, and we're going to start with the first one from Brooke. And have you ever experienced a ghost following a family from house to house, as opposed to staying with their home?
Jamie, you want to start?
I've heard about it. I've never investigated dealing with that, but most of the time, from what I feel about it, is that if it's not a family member, the spirit feels comfortable with you. And so wherever you go, they go. But if it is a family, they're making sure that you're okay. I mean, as long as it's family, I wouldn't care.
So kind of like a guardian angel.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it too.
I just watched a show about, it was actually Catfish on MTV. This lady just randomly, this ghost came to her, and it was this girl's father, and he just felt comfortable with this lady, and so he stays with her.
Now, I know that ghosts will attach themselves to, locations or objects, but also to people. Now, I know some ghosts have followed some guests home.
Right.
There's certain words I don't use during investigation, and one is follow. I call that the F word in investigation, and I won't allow anybody to say, because if we're communicating with something in one location and we're going to go to another one, people want to say, you can follow. It's like, no. No, we don't use that word, because then they'll follow you all the way where you're going because they like you. So I use the word, I'm going to this room. You can continue communicating with us there.
Right.
Sometimes they take the words literally, so I don't use that. Like I said, I call it the F word in investigation. I don't use the word follow. But I have heard of people being followed. I had one investigation that they did get followed into two homes, but it was not a family member, was not a protective. Right. And we ended up having to call somebody to come and do like an exorcism of the location. But we don't know how they brought it in, but like I said, before I talk about Ouija boards and seances and all that stuff, I don't allow them in my investigation. I like to use them. I don't think it's a proper tool for investigation because, Ouija board is a game board. It's a piece of cardboard with a little plastic on top, and it's just a game board. I can have 20 of them in my house and nothing's going to happen because I don't do anything with them. It's what you do with the Ouija board, or you can do it during an investigation on doing EVPs.
Yes.
You don't conjure things up. Don't call out spirits that aren't there. Don't open doorways and allow things to come through that aren't there. I communicate with the ghost that is in the location. I am not going beyond that. And I think when you conjure something up, sometimes they stay in the location, like we've talked about. There's new entities in the hospital that I think were conjured up by people that don't know what they're doing.
I agree.
But I also think if you conjure something up and they get attached to you, you're taking them with you. You know, they're going to go with you, and I don't play that. I don't like to, like I said, I don't conjure. I don't use Ouija boards. I use my EVPs and other equipment to communicate with the current spirit that's in the building. Now,
How do you
I have gotten
ascertain-
hard on some.
I have a question before you move on. When you are using, when you're using a spirit box, or if you happen to be using, I know some people use apps, and some of them get responses with those, others don't. If you are using an electronic voice phenomena device versus a Ouija board, how do you differentiate? I mean, you're still communicating. How do you know who you're communicating with? What makes that different?
I mean, no matter what evidence you get, I mean, in my opinion, you never truly know who you're talking to. You might get the correct responses, but it's just like a stranger in the street, hey, and you never met somebody and be like, hey, are you so-and-so? Yep, that's right. Me. You know, at the end of every investigation before I leave, just like how Felix was talking about the Ouija board, I always do something to say goodbye. I usually say, as I leave, you shall stay, and may the light guide your way. And that kind of protects myself from something following me home. You know, I set up my boundaries. You're not allowed to come with me. You have to stay.
I have done that and still had something follow me.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
which was just concerning.
It can happen. I mean, it all depends on, did you make them mad and they're going to follow you to, you know, pay back?
No,
or
he just liked me.
Or they just like you. I mean, I had one guest that every time she investigated the Thomas house with us, you know, she would come out, you know, as a guest, you know, and she would take, and I think it was a child that would follow her home for a couple of weeks, and she would get all kinds of paranormal, but it would stay in the car. She would get all kinds of paranormal activity that would happen in her car, and it would only happen when she would come to the Thomas. Yeah. Her windows would be rolled down. All the windows in her car would be rolled down when she comes out of work. Her trunk was wide open. All kinds of different things were happening to her car, you know, and it immediately happens after she would leave the Thomas house. Then about 2 or 3 weeks later, it would go, you know. She finally told me, well, I sold the car, so I'm not going to, it's not going to happen again.
That's like Chris, right?
You know, I think, you know, certain people might attract a child, you know, a motherly figure. They're looking for mama. You know, how many EVPs have we heard that say mama?
Yeah.
You know, do they think one of the guests or one of the females there is a mama or mama figure, and they get attached to you, you know? But like Jamie does, I tell my guests, you got to talk to them and say, okay, we're leaving. You have to stay here, and I'll be back to visit you another time. But you have to stay. I always tell my guests, you got to tell them to stay, you know, and never use the F word. But, I mean, I've been lucky I haven't been followed home. But then again, like I said, I have artifacts in my house that are haunted. So what's to say that I didn't get followed home, and I just don't know it because I got already, you know, a house full of people.
Too many to count. But
yeah, I mean,
I was
and I
just
don't
curious,
pay
and I know I interrupted your train of thought when we were talking about the EVPs and stuff, but it just always crosses my mind, and I know that you're out there regularly doing this. So, and at various locations where the spirits do know you because you're there all the time.
Oh, yeah, my name's starting to be called in a lot of locations.
Yeah. So,
but they stay there. And again, I think it's because I treat them with respect. So, you know, they've imitated my voice. They call out my name, but they stay. I don't really think anyone has ever come home with me from these locations.
That you know of.
Right.
What was that?
That you know of.
That I know of. I know.
You said
Well,
they imitate your voice.
Yes, they actually. I was down in the basement with a group, and there was another group up on the third floor at the hospital, and they hear my voice. I mean, they hear like I'm talking to you right now, and everybody's looking at each other. What is Felix doing up here? I mean, he clearly he's interrupting our hunt. So they call me on the radio, and they go, Felix, we can hear you. And I said, where are you? And they go, I'm on the third floor. And I say, I'm in the basement. It's impossible for you to hear me.
True.
But even the guests said that was Felix's voice. So, and I was at the jail, at Old Paulding Jail, and I had my group in the kitchen area, and where they have the pass-through to the first floor cell block, and I hear Chad talking. And I look at my group and I roll my eyes. I said, what is Chad doing here? He knows I'm investigating here. What is he doing in there talking? So I go into the cell block, and I mean, it was Chad. And I go into the cell block, and it's empty. There's nobody in there. Chad was across the street picking up the chairs. And everybody heard Chad. So they do imitate our voices. I don't know if they like us that much. Who knows why?
Well, I think that they do that because they can. you know, I think that sometimes just, kind of showing out. I had friends doing a private at Old South Pittsburgh, and it was off the chain with the different, and there were several of them who were being imitated. Their voices were coming out of the spirit boxes. Their voices were being heard, across the halls. It was just crazy when they were telling me that. And when you said that, it piqued my interest because I knew that had happened at Paulding. I didn't know that had happened with you at Old South Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. My name's really being called out, and my voice is being imitated there a lot. But you know that I'm there every month.
I do know.
So, just like we were at the church. Amy was with me. We were at the church in the Thomas house, and it was a night that we thought we got nothing. It was a quiet night at the church, but when we played back the EVPs, in 1 hour and 28 minutes, we got, it was like 60-something EVPs.
Holy
it was
wow.
Crazy. It was crazy. And when I'm in the church, I try to communicate, and I tell them, okay, because they don't like Chad there.
Right.
At the church. So I always say, well, if you don't talk to me, I'm going to leave and I'm going to send Chad. So go ahead and talk to me, or I'm going to send Chad, and I keep saying that right before I leave. Well, I was picking up my equipment. All the guests had already walked out, and I had a lot of equipment spread out. As I'm picking up my equipment, we got an EVP that said, go. Nice try. So they got some kind of sense of humor because it was that clear. It says go, nice try. Like it didn't work, did it? And then when Chad was in there and he was about to leave, he's gathering his things. You hear go, and then he goes, and Chad goes, well, I'm going to be leaving now, and they said it again, go. Like, go already.
That's funny.
Yeah. But sometimes I tell our guests, you might think that nothing happened because, you didn't get a loud bang or something. But if you go back and listen to your EVPs, I'm telling you, that church was quiet that night, yet we had 60-something EVPs in an hour and 28 minutes. It was crazy.
Me away. Always
we had singing. Oh, it was like crazy stuff. I was shocked. I've never gotten that many EVPs in such a short period of time.
Well, we are coming up just about 60 seconds to our next break, and we have another question in the chat room, and I know that Jamie was wondering if this topic was going to be coming up about the Birdcage Theater. So we are going to hit that, and I'm interested to hear some of your experiences there, Jamie. That's one of the places on my bucket list. And I just, I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, we'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll catch y'all then.
Stations in the world. We're one of them. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk. Marcella Zinner. Named one of the best intuitive psychics of Tampa Bay, Marcella is ready to change your life. Being a clairvoyant since childhood, Marcella enhanced her natural gifts with a master's degree from the College of Metaphysical Studies and ongoing advanced studies at the Edgar Cayce Foundation. Marcella's passion is to share her gifts with you. With intuitive counseling, past life regressions, Reiki, and empowering workshop events. What are you waiting for? Call 727-785-8780. That's 727-785-8780 to schedule your life-changing appointment with Marcella. Marcella Zinner, intuitive counselor and clairvoyant. Find your answers at marcellaz.com. The Haunted Voices series by author Claire Jim. Not your average romance novels, the Haunted Voices series intertwines romance with ghost stories. Like an addiction counselor and a security guard struggle to free a little girl and her father. Two lost spirits trapped inside an abandoned mental hospital and spirits of the heart. Want more? Then read about a hunky professor in a tweed jacket, a cheeky goth chick, and a pipe-smoking book-hurling ghost. Put them all together in an antiquated library and, well, you get the book Phantom Traces. Or read about a psychic interior designer who reluctantly agrees to renovate a sexy investor's abandoned hotel in Hearts Unlocked, winner of the 2016 New York Book Festival. The Haunted Voices series by Claire Jim. Buy wherever books are sold or purchase at clairejim.com. Nothing feels better than a good cleanse to wash away the day. If you think that refreshes you, then experience the ultimate cleanse with Soaps by Susan. Cleansing Spiritually LLC uses only pharmaceutical-grade essential oils, all-natural shea butter, coconut oils, and vitamin E, and tailored toward the ultimate cleanse. Susan uses a skin-safe fragrance with an aroma that brings a smile to your face and takes you to that happy place within. Each bar is handcrafted and custom to order, so it not only cleanses the soul, but also matches your room's decor. Cleansing Spiritually soap makes great gifts, or you can just indulge yourself for a spiritual cleansing you'll never forget. You want some now, don't you? We thought so. Contact Susan Todd to place your custom order at facebook.com/spiritually. Don't settle for clean. Get spiritually clean at facebook.com/spiritually. From our studios to the world, here comes more great programming on WGOG Digital Broadcasting.
Three minutes after the hour, and you are back with Paranormal Experience. I'm Kat Hobson, your host. I am joined by Jamie Menshouse and Felix Martin. Tongue-tied there for a moment, Felix. And we have a fantastic question. And Jamie, you knew this was coming.
Yes, I did.
So, as I mentioned in the bios and promoting the show, Jamie was a tour guide. She ran the ghost experiences, I guess, at and it is world famous, the Birdcage Theater. And she worked there. You worked there for some time.
A little over a year.
Yeah. And so the question is, how did you handle or deal with the men spirits there, given that it was a brothel? And we have moved on to the PG-13 portion of our show.
Yeah, my kids are listening into this. You know, the other ladies in town would complain about being sexually harassed by customers. And I would laugh. I'm like, well, at least you don't have to deal with the dead ones, too. My first day, I got pinched on the inside of my thigh walking up the stairs. I don't know how many times I would turn around to smack somebody for touching my butt or doing something, and no one's there. I just kept reminding them that, yes, I am one of the working girls, but not that kind, to not touch me.
Well, that's interesting. And that question was from Christy. The entire time that you were there, did it happen consistently, or just, I mean, that just seems like it would be a normal behavior pattern for the people there?
For me, it was regular. You know, I know this is a radio show, so I can't really go into much detail, but they were a little hands-on some days. But I mean, it was a brothel. You know, they paid women to do that.
Right.
But most of them, and it's, even though that was a brothel, if anyone disrespected any of us there, any of the female workers, you know, we had our bodyguard spirits there that would take care of the disrespectful ones for us. I know this man made a rude comment to me about his wife, and my manager kind of kicked me to go outside. And when I came back in, I was watching the monitors, and it looked like he tripped down the stairs. And he comes back, and I was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "It looks like you just saw a ghost." And he's like, "No, I just got pushed down by one." And I just laughed, and I was like, "Thank you, Jake."
No doubt.
You know, Jake was kind of like the bodyguard to us women working there.
Well, you know, there's very few people really who get the opportunity to work in those type of environments. And how did you happen to do that?
Well, my husband's military, and I just went in to the birdcage to ask about like a group rate for other Army wives, so a bunch of us could go. And they asked me if I wanted the job. And of course, I said yes. And I mean, that by far is my favorite job I've ever had. They're family to me, and I miss that place more than anyone will ever know. I got really close to a lot of the spirits there, and I never felt alone in that building because I know I wasn't.
Right. You know, I'm glad that you said that last part about getting close to the spirits, because it happens. If you frequent a location, then people that don't do what we do find it odd when you say, well, I have a relationship with these spirits.
Right. I mean, it's because they think of spirit, and they don't think of it as what we do. Right. I mean, to me, it's still a person. It's just they don't have their body anymore.
Right.
And the way I conduct myself, I don't talk to them in like third person, past tense. I talk to them like I'm talking to you and Felix.
Right.
And, you know, people always ask, you know, how do you know what spirit is here? Well, it's no different than, you know, Felix wears a certain type of cologne or your perfume. You try to come up behind me, and I smell your perfume, and I know it's you. And that's how it is with the spirits. You know, they change the energy in the room, and you get used to it. That's like when Joshi, which, you know, that one I got really attached to. It was one of the little boys there at the birdcage. I could get him to move the undertaker's table or, make noises. He called me mommy on several occasions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's that place by far has been my favorite location to investigate or just be at. I love history, and that place is full of history.
Absolutely.
You can literally walk in there and you can just, it's like going back in time. Once you pass through the casino door and enter into the back, it's something that you have to see in person to understand what the fuss about that building is.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting that opportunity. I tell you, it is one of maybe 6 on my bucket list that I haven't gotten to yet.
I know. I'm trying to get Felix and Chad to bring Ghost Hunt Weekends out to Tombstone.
Oh, we want to bad. We're heading that way. We're getting there. We're now in Missouri, so.
Which I find interesting because that's going to be a trip.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, that's Missouri State Penitentiary, right?
Yeah, we're going to be at Missouri State Penitentiary, and I got to look because we're going to have quite a few different new guests with us this year. We have the Wraith Chasers, which are always a big fan favorite, but we have Steve Tango and Steve and Tango. And I believe Grant is going to join us in a few, too.
Yeah, Grant's going to be in Kentucky.
Right, at that the old Veterans Hospital, right?
Hospital, yeah. The old Veterans Hospital.
And Stephen Tango is going to be at the Shawnee, West Virginia.
Lake Shawnee in West Virginia.
I'm planning on going to that one, mainly because I keep hearing so much about it, about the abandoned amusement park there, that I'm fascinated.
Yeah, this it actually has. They believe there's about minimum of 3,000 Indians. There's a burial ground there, and there's about 3,000 Indians buried there. There's 3 children buried there that were killed and scalped by the Indians because they were the first white settlers in the area. There's like 3 children that died in the amusement park when it was an amusement park. 2 drowned, and 1 got crushed on the swings by a soda truck.
Oh my Lord.
So there's quite a bit of activity there. And it's an interesting place. I mean, that's where I heard my first ghost animal. It was a horse, and everybody heard it. It was a horse that went, and I mean, it was like, it sounded like 5 feet from me. And I called on the radio. I said, "Is there any horses in the properties around this?" And there's no horses there. So that was cool. And I was talking about I was at the grave side of the children, and I was talking about, what they thought about the Indians, what they did to them. And that's when we heard the horse. So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, now this is a camping experience, right?
Well, I mean, people can camp out on the property. I mean, they can camp out and set up tents anywhere. Once we break up, people camp out. Some people camped out right next to the Indian burial ground, trying to see if they get anything during the night. And if you don't feel like camping out, there is hotels 10 minutes away.
Well, see, that's my idea of camping out. And roughing it is when they don't have turn down service. So I'm good with that. But in all honesty, I was bringing a tent and sleeping bag until you said that.
Some people bring their RVs too and park it out there.
We sold ours.
Oh, okay.
David decided that we didn't use it, so away it went. And he was right. We had it for years and used it twice. So, but I am just fascinated by the idea of going to that place. I just haven't been there, and I've investigated jails and penitentiaries already, but Missouri State has a reputation.
Oh, Missouri State is one haunted animal. I mean, there's areas that are darker than others, but it is active as crazy, and I am looking forward to going to Missouri State. That's going to be incredible. We're also, I don't know if I can say it, but there's something in North Carolina that we're going to be going to. I don't know if Chad's announced it yet. But
no, he hasn't. I don't think he has.
I can't mention it, but it's going to be another place that I've wanted to hunt a long time. And that's going to be great. And I don't even know which one of the celebrities are going, but it's going to be one fun place to go. And you know Moon River, you've been there quite a few times, and Moon River is another
I love
one
there.
But my baby, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, we're there every month, and you know how active that place is.
Yes, it is.
I love that place, and apparently it's starting to love me when they start calling my name and imitating my voice. So I do not want to become a permanent resident there. I just come to visit.
Well, just so people know that they can see your schedule. All they have to do is go to ghosthuntweekends.com, and the schedule is right up there on the front page. They can see who's going to be going where. You've got the Wraith Chasers cruise coming up, too. I think that'll be fun.
Yes. Oh, we're doing the Titanic in Pigeon Forge this year.
It's going to be in Pigeon Forge?
It's going to be in Pigeon Forge.
I can get there.
Yeah. And that. I'll be honest, when I first went, because I approach a lot of my hunts as a skeptic. I am not one of these paramaniacs that every single thing is paranormal.
True.
And I went there, and I'm going, this is a new building. Yeah, there's artifacts, but, there's not going to be anything. Oh, my God. I had a full-body apparition. I had a little child play with us, and she was talking to us. We heard it with our own ears.
Yes.
Disembodied voice. I left there like in awe of all the activity, and most of my activity happened in places that there was no artifacts. So that was just even more incredible, because it wasn't even in the areas of the artifacts, because they have more than 400 artifacts in that museum that came directly from the Titanic.
Yes.
That were brought up. But
this is a very special event too, because this is, or it was, I'm assuming it still is, like a formal dinner.
Oh, I was going to say,
you get to
there is a room, a dining room. Yeah, there's a dining room up on the third floor that no one gets to see, and we like first class dining on the Titanic up there. We all dress in our period clothes. We all have our tuxes, and the women in their period clothes. And Chip Coffey does a reading up there, and he also gets artifacts, and it's incredible the stuff that he has come up with, where he doesn't know the history, but the owner does. So she confirms what he is actually getting from these artifacts.
And if you've never seen Chip Coffey do a gallery reading, it's worth every second of your time to be there and see that. He does a great job.
And and then you get to take pictures. When you go in the museum, you're not allowed to take one picture in that place.
Yep.
Our guests are allowed to go around and take all the pictures they want, and they get their picture taken on the actual stairway. When you go up to the museum, you get your picture taken in a green screen, and they superimpose the stairway. No, you get actually on the stairs that cost $1.5 million to build. She holds the patent to those stairs. No one else can build that. And she has the actual plans of the stairway that came from the Titanic. So, and you get your picture taken on there. You get it taken with Chip Coffey, and you'll get a picture with his autograph and everything. I mean, it's well done. It's an awesome experience.
It's probably my favorite experience because I like dressing up, and it was funny because I walked in and Chad was greeting people as they came in, and he's so used to seeing me, everyday me, that he didn't recognize me. And that's when I thought, I should wear makeup more often. So, yeah, but it really is. It's fancy and it's nice and it's fun. And, I think that's just pretty neat. I think that the Paulding house, the Paulding jail is also, you talk about having relationships. I had, and my producer will attest to the fact that I had internet service because he was on my Skype, although I couldn't tell it, and the ghosts there were pitching a fit. An absolute fit. They were stomping around and they were banging on the exterior doors, like for the fire escapes and stuff. And they were trashing my computer. I mean, seriously, trashing my computer. And they were getting mad, and I was mad. I was in the first floor cell block, and I walked out. Shelley Burke Robertson, who owns it, had gone to go and make coffee. I walked out hoping to get my computer fixed back in time to do the show. And the minute I walked into the office, everything worked fine. And I was hardwired. It shouldn't have mattered where I was. So I went back in the kitchen, and she has that big, amplifier for her spirit box. And I said, we need to turn that on. And so we talked, and they got calmer. They still wouldn't let me do the show in their cell block, but they didn't mess with us on the third floor. And when I left the next morning, they were playing, I forget who sings it, but I told them bye, and I got in my car and I was leaving, and they started playing Ghost in This House on my stereo.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, bye guys. But I mean, it was so funny that, because I do think that they can manipulate things. I've seen them do it more times than not. And it's funny that was the song playing as I was pulling out of their driveway.
Wow,
so I'm a firm
funny.
believer. And, it was like we had come to an understanding, and they were just telling me bye. So I will always go back there because of that, because it felt like they trusted me.
Jail is crazy.
It was
Stuff
insane.
I have seen there. Yeah.
I mean, I'd heard things there before. I heard the sound of like a bone breaking when we were in that cell block. Caritha and I were in there. And I just left because I just said, how did you die? Or what happened to you here? And you heard like the breaking, and a man had been hung there. And I was like, well, that's, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, but I'm going to leave you to it now. And it wasn't because I was afraid. It was just like I was afraid I was upsetting them.
I was afraid. I was petrified.
Oh, my gosh.
I have not been there yet, but I was close.
I know. I can't wait to move back on the East Coast so I can do more stuff with everybody.
Oh, I can't wait for you to get
Jamie, I got to get you into the South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. But, we're back to, we've got 60 seconds before we do this break, but absolutely, she's got to come to do Old South Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
She has to. And with the children there, I mean, one night we had children running up and down the hallway, screaming and laughing, and it lasted for 45 minutes. Every guest heard it because it was on the floor where everybody sleeps. It was incredible. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were just running up and down the hall, screaming and laughing. And lately, we've been getting all the running footsteps. I had a guest that was sitting in the nurse's station, and she closed her eyes because she didn't want to see it.
I think I would rather see it coming than not. But here we go.
Exactly.
Here we go. We are going into our last break, and we will be right back. See you on the flip side.
positively has to be the best. WGOG DB Clearwater. Let's talk.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has delivered a one-of-a-kind reading experience, covering everything from psychics, UFOs, paranormal investigations, and more. To subscribe, visit fatemag.com or call 828-702-3032. That's 828-702-3032. Subscribe and find your true reports of the strange and unknown at fatemag.com.
Haunted, a psychic story by author and radio host Ariel Grace. This is not your average book of hauntings. Haunted, a psychic story is written from a psychic perspective and contains true stories and some handy tips. Written in 3 parts, Haunted, a Psychic Story contains chilling adventures, advice from the archangels, and helpful tips used by Ariel Grace to clear haunted homes around the globe. Haunted, a Psychic Story is available on Amazon, or you can download straight to your Kindle. Haunted, a Psychic Story by Ariel Grace. Get your copy today.
Grow your business. At Signorama, we offer customized solutions for signs, branding, marketing, and advertising. We have a full range of custom sign and graphic services to meet your needs, build your brand, and create your image. Look around and you'll see how our specialists help businesses enhance their visibility and get noticed. Let us work with you to understand your unique marketing goals and help you reach them. Signorama, the way to grow your business. Meet with an expert at your local Signorama or visit us online anytime.
We know you listen to other stations, but want to thank you for choosing ours. WGOG Digital Broadcasting. Let's talk.
Minutes after the hour, and you are back with Paranormal Experience. I am Kat Hobson, your host. I am joined tonight by Jamie Menshouse and Felix Martin, both extraordinary paranormal investigators, and as we found out earlier, haunted collectors. And I think that's something pretty neat. I did know, Felix, that you did that, but we hadn't really talked about it very much. And you know, this is our last bit. If you are wanting to get a question in, you need to get over to our chat room, or you can actually tweet it at Para Experienced or at WGOGDB for Twitter, and we will be more than happy to answer them. We have had so much fun. And, you know, Felix, I know that there's so many things with Ghost Hunt Weekends coming up, and some that you just can't share because the man hadn't given the go-ahead yet. So,
right.
But people are going to be so excited. You have had
people got to keep an eye on the website, because there's 2018 is going to be an explosion. It's going to be awesome. All the stuff that we're getting together, it's going to be great.
You know, you have had the opportunity, both of y'all have had the opportunity to investigate with people that most would just really like to have the chance to talk to. I know that it's not fair to say who are your favorites, because you still have to work around them. But do you enjoy actually doing that? Or people, and I know my opinion on this, I've hunted with several of them too. When you work with them, do they perform their investigations as you see them do on television?
Jamie?
I think they're more laid back in person than on TV, because on TV you only get to see just a little bit of what they do. So you really don't get a feel for them. Grant is amazing. We love Grant to death.
Yeah, we do.
Amy, Adam, I did their thing with Andrea and John Tenney and back in March on the Queen Mary. It's just in person.
Chip.
Yeah, Chip. Love Chip. I would probably say he's one of my favorite, if not my favorite. Just don't tell Grant that.
I like Chip too. He's actually just a great person.
He is.
I find him a very nice person.
And he's easy to talk to.
Yeah.
He kind of took my 14-year-old under his wing. So he calls him Uncle Chip. But I mean, you get that one-on-one with them. And once you get to spend like 5-10 minutes, it's not, oh my God, they're on TV. They open up and take time with each person. Every time I've been around them, they've done that. They goof off, and me and Felix played pool with Steve and one of the Ghost Brothers during Scarefest, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I beat them. I got the winning shot in. I said, yeah, we beat them, but I shot the winning shot.
Shot the one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Rub it in.
Well, I have 2 of the Ghost Brothers on with me next week, so that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah, you need to ask it. Well,
it was the tall one. What's his name?
Jamal. Oh, God, this is probably going to kill me.
You know what? You're in so much trouble.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We shot pool, and we can't say his name.
He calls me Pool Shark.
I could see that.
Yeah.
And he says, I didn't beat him. I beat Steve.
In my experience with them, I have actually had the opportunity to hunt with some of them just privately with them, and when they're not on TV, they're a lot more relaxed and down to earth, and you'd be surprised. And I love how they actually respect my style of hunting and everything, and as much as I respect theirs, they respect mine, and we have a great friendship and everything. They'll call me, hey, do you want to come and join us to hunt this place? And I'll go with them just to check it out. And yeah, I love the guys. Yeah.
Well, I think it was Jawan that you beat, right?
Yeah, Jawan.
Yeah, because I have Jawan and Dalen coming, and Marcus may not be available. We're still trying to find that out, but they're supposed to get me their bios and stuff. But they are quite fun.
They're nice guys. They're real nice guys.
Yes.
The first time that I met Chris, he had something growl behind me and Felix.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was ignoring it, and it did it again. And Felix was like, didn't you hear that? I was like, yeah, but I'm ignoring it. You need to do that too. Leave it alone.
Don't encourage it. Cool.
And then I was like, hey, Chris is lonely. Why don't you go growl next to him? So, that's what I mean. They take that time with each person. And I know me and Braden, well, I think Braden fell asleep, and me and Chris and them were talking after the event for a good hour and a half. Each one, I haven't met a rude one yet. I guess I've been lucky and haven't got them on their bad days.
Well, I've never met one that was rude either.
Mm-mm. No, we're all happy.
Well, that's not true. I've met one. But, you just tend to brush that off. And
yeah,
it wasn't just a one-day thing. So I just assumed that's, the personality.
Their personality, yeah.
And that's okay. Everybody has their own thing. So
I'm rude to you, Kat. I know it was me.
You're just brutal. I don't know what to say. It's so hard to
he's
cope.
rude to you, you let me know and I'll take care of him.
Not an issue.
Oh, she will too.
I will put him in his place.
This has been so much fun. We only have about 5 minutes left. I can't believe it. But if you were to give anyone advice on how to perform a paranormal investigation, some of the most important things that you consider. Jamie, ladies first, what do you think are the most important things?
The main one is compassion. Do your research. Know like the correct questions to ask. Never provoke. I'm against provoking. I know some people do it, and that's on you. Just don't do it around me. I think it's disrespectful. I know sometimes there might be a need for it, but you're asking for trouble when you do that.
I have found that to be an absolute fact.
And most of all is have fun. You gotta love what you do, or, why do it? Go in with a skeptic mindset, because most of the time when people get calls to go out and investigate, they're not haunted. They need to call an electrician or a plumber.
Right.
Or an exterminator.
Yeah.
An exterminator is a good option.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I had one that had a rat problem, and they said they had no rats.
Oh,
and it chewed through wires and everything, and that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
So,
my other team.
I agree with Amy.
Yeah, my other team, when we weren't getting any activity, we would pull practical jokes on each other, and that would bring out activity. I know at the conversations. Yeah, just sitting talking like we are, things would happen. We're not on their time, It would be so much easier if we could pay them to tell us what's going on.
Yes.
But it doesn't work like that.
Yes.
Jamie, one thing I've noticed is, you got to consider these are people. And how many investigators have walked in there and they ask the same question?
Exactly.
What's your name? Who are you? Why are you here? Knock on the wall. Do flips. Stand on your head. The next night, same questions. People. If somebody came to you and asked you the same questions every single night, you're going to roll your eyes and walk away. But they do like the attention if you approach it with respect, and so. Sometimes when you're just having a conversation like we're having right now, I've gotten more EVPs that way than when I've asked direct questions. Unless you ask a question that hasn't been asked, it's appropriate for the time. Like Jamie said, do your research. Right. So your questions do
know your location.
Coincide with, know your location. But other times you say a joke and they respond to it, or a practical joke on each other. And they have a sense of humor, too. Not all of them do, but some do.
Yeah.
So you just got to know you're dealing with people and think of approach it like, how would you feel if you were talked to this way?
And on that note, we have got like maybe 20 seconds left. So I did want to give you a chance, Felix, to mention again, ghosthuntweekends.com. There is a huge announcement coming up, and that's going to be big. And there's already wonderful things on there, wonderful events already on there, and their schedule is posted right on their front index page. And Jamie, thank you so much for being here, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
It has been fun. This has been wonderful fun.
Lots of fun. I love having Jamie. Jamie is my partner in crime and ghost hunting, so I love you, Jamie.
I love you, too.
And I love both of you. So I
love you, too, Kat.
And I will talk to both of you soon. And just so y'all know, next week, same cat time, same cat channel. Thanks for being here. Good night.